your message ever falls flat when the stakes are high, this is why. So look, most founders and leaders don't sit around thinking, hey, I should really figure out how to tell my story better. No, they're thinking about pitching, selling, raising, leading, landing opportunities, and sounding sharp when it counts. But whether you realize it or not, you are telling a story in every one of those moments. And every time you talk about yourself and what you do, people are judging you on it. Now, the tragedy is most founders never unlock anywhere near the full power of their story. They stop at getting a couple of random moments together or hashing up a basic origin story and then wonder why their message doesn't land or why they never get taken seriously. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to take the raw moments from your past and turn them into a defining story that you can use whenever the stakes are highest. It's going to show people why you think the way you do, why that matters so much to them, and why you are the one to believe it. And rather than just talking about this stuff, I'm going to show you it in action. We're going to break down how Jason Graystone, a trader turned entrepreneur turned author, gets his story to land in those high stakes moments. And you can build yours at the same time. So let's go. Okay, so every defining story begins with a first chapter. We need to get a sense of who you really were from way before you got to your current business, right? And there's plenty of places you can start with this. One of the strongest is what I would call the crucible of learning. What is that earliest environment that shaped how you see the world? Everyone has one. And once you name yours, your audience understands you faster, trusts you sooner, gives them a clear anchor for why you think the way you do. So take it away, Jason.
So I grew up on a council estate in London called Hatfield Mead. They all had this kind of negative view on money. It was like, why can't my boss give me more money? Or money's horrible, money's the root of all evil kind of thing.
Okay, so now we've got a sense of where he's from, but we need to go further, right? If all you do is share a few early memories, then you end up with that lame tick box origin story that doesn't really add up to anything. What we want here is a defining story. You're trying to help your audience understand what was driving you at that time and how that drive relates to the problems or the desires they feel right now. When you make that link, that's when your first chapter really starts to kick in.
I perceived to have a big lack of security, and that's all I wanted. And obviously, as you navigate through life, you realize that money is a way to provide security.
So really cool. With perspective, he knows he was shaped by a lack of security and the belief that money would fix things, even if he didn't know how. Now, that's dynamite because that's a situation a ton of people in this guy's audience are going to recognize themselves in right now as adults. Now, that's why this stuff matters. That's why it's important. That's why it's powerful. When you can point to something in your past that lines up with what your audience feels now, that all-important, undeniable connection starts to spark into life. But we don't stop there. After the crucible of learning, what could be really nice is a caught the bug moment. A bolt from the blue that lit you up and bounced you onto a whole new path. Now, that's great if that moment connects directly to what you do today, but don't freak out if it doesn't. The real value is that it shows that crucial time where your curiosity really switched on. So let's check out Jason's.
Leading up to my 14th birthday is when I wanted this Mongoose BMX. I went out and I was like, I'm going to wash cars. Washed this first car. It was a Volkswagen Golf for this lady called Lynn. And she gave me £7, which was £5 plus £2 tip. So I'm up in my room that night. I'm thinking, I'm going to get this bike in no time.
So there you go, the perfect early moment for that entrepreneurial journey he's been on ever since. The real thing here is that it's relatable, right? If you check out this guy's Instagram, he's just spent a week on Necker Island with Richard Branson and a lot of millionaires eating mangoes delivered by parrots or whatever, right? That's aspirational. It's not relatable. For that emotional connection, you need a relatable way in. Most people don't know what it's like to go fucking snorkeling with a billionaire, but they do know what it's like to want something badly for their birthday when they're a kid. That's why this stuff works. Puts you and your audience in the same emotional space. Perfect way to kickstart that undeniable sense of connection. But look, we cut that caught the bug story off a little soon. Let's see where it goes.
Anyway, my stepdad came in my room and he said, I'm going to the shop. Do you want anything? Something made me give him everything I'd earned that day. And I said, can you get me a bucket and sponge? And then within 4 weeks, I had 4 friends washing up to 16 cars.
So there you go. It's becoming more entrepreneurial. Very nice. But the key is how it lands for your audience now. Not as a nice story, not as nice vibes, but as something that really aligns with what you're doing now, and more crucially, aligns with what they are trying to figure out or what they should be trying to figure out, right? That's what we're aiming for. Those moments from your past that when you look at them now, clearly link to the journey your audience is on today. So what's the actual lesson that Jason is going to pull from this BMX story?
It was like I'd discovered fire. I just remember thinking they're unhappy with money because they can't use it properly. If you use money properly, it can actually give you more choice to do more of the things that you enjoy and get the things that you want in life.
So there you go, crucial message. If if you use money correctly, frees up more time to do what you actually want to do rather than just buying stuff, right? And this is where the undeniable connection starts to work both ways. The more you understand these moments from your own past, the more locked in you feel to what you are really about in the here and now. So if you've been feeling driven, but you're disconnected from your work, this stuff can pull you straight back into the center of it. Because once you see the truth of your own story, it's very hard to deny it. And as you get more solid with that, the audience connection ramps up too. You get out and talk about this stuff and you'll see the reaction. People will feel it, they'll get it, they'll get you. And once you see that happen, you'll want to use these moments again and again, right? Do you think this is the only time Jason Graystone has ever told this sweet BMX story? Come on.
I wanted a BMX, really wanted this BMX. And something made me give him everything I'd earned that day. And something made me give him everything I'd earned that day. It was like I'd discovered fire. I'd discovered fire at that point.
Yeah, get used to it. If you are in these high stakes moments conversationally, whatever it is your business does, that's not who you are at that point. You are a storyteller, whether you like it or not. Here, it's your story, then it's going to be your audience's story, then it's going to be the story of what it all means for the world. But we'll come to those. Okay, so there we go. Let's say that's the first chapter in the bag. Now, you might think that's enough. A couple of nice moments from your past, some lessons, a sense of who you were back then. But that will only get you part of the way. Most people stop at that point, and that's why their story never really lands. That's why they never unlock the full potential, the full results from it. We want to go further. We're going to go further because we're not after a simple tick box origin story. We want a defining story, something that gives that epic sense of perspective on your whole journey and places you in this moment as genuinely undeniable. The kind of story that makes it feel like you were meant to be here speaking, wherever that is, and whoever is listening was also meant to be there, and everything just makes sense. That's the level we are going to reach. And to get there, you need two more parts. The next one is the epiphany. So the epiphany bridges the gap between who you were back then and who you are now. It's that middle point, that big realization, the explosion of understanding that hit you somewhere along the way. Now, at the time, you'll have had no idea how powerful it was. Probably felt like just another day. But now looking back, you can see that it was the moment that genuinely changed everything. And the energy from it now sits right at the center of what you're about, powering everything you do today. Okay, so a really nice place to begin this can be a period of intense hardship and toil later on in your journey. Let's call it forged in fire, a period where you're figuring things out, trying to make something work on instinct and experimentation, super relatable. At the same time, it shows that you earned what you now know. Signals to your audience that listening to you might save them from going through the same messiness. Let's check it out.
So I was looking at online poker, I was looking at options trading, and then after blowing about 40 or 50 grand, closest as I've ever come to divorce. Yeah, no one believed, everyone thought I was mental.
Do we say mental anymore? That's above my pay grade. Point is, the stakes were high, he's trying lots of things out, they're not quite working. Long story short, he figures it out, he gets good at trading, gets consistent, makes loads of money. Now, that could be the epiphany moment of Jason Graystone version 1, because back then his whole thing was basically helping people trade and make money. But remember, there's this new idea in town now, always free, and it's wider, it's about life and meaning and purpose. So we're not done yet. We've not yet completed the epiphany to my standards, okay? So a really nice moment that can work next is the waiting place. Like, when were you properly stuck, completely stuck, didn't know what the heck to do next? And honestly, the darker you can make this part, the better, because we're not going to be dwelling on you being stuck. It's really going to be about how you got out of it. So let's combine it with a leap of faith. So from being stuck to, hey, I'm going to try something different. And your audience is going to recognize this because they've been stuck too. They've had that moment when they're out of ideas and they don't know what to do next. Heck, they're probably there right now. You see what I mean? So when you show them that you've been there and then show them the move you made to get out of it, that's powerful stuff. It keeps that undeniable connection building steadily. So let's see an example.
And then I was in this position at 29 years old. Yeah, I don't need money, but I'm definitely missing some kind of like fulfillment. So it was just like, I want to start sharing like some of this stuff.
Okay, so there we go. He was stuck, he was lost. And despite having loads of money, he had no real purpose, right? So he takes a chance, puts together a big YouTube video, gives away basically everything he knows about the subject. And this leads us to the crucial part of the epiphany. It's the moment of truth. Now, this is the singular moment where you do something, the results blindside you and you think, hey, hang on, I didn't expect that. I didn't see that coming at all. Blows your mind a bit. And it's only when you look back now that you realize how important it actually was. Now, Jason doesn't go quite as far with this moment as he could, but it's still a big deal. And I'll tell you why once we've had a look.
And when I sat down and created that video, it was a real energy of everything I share comes from an actual place of me wanting someone to succeed. I'm not expecting anything in return. And it worked.
Okay, so there's that moment of truth within the epiphany, the moment where it clicks that for all the success that you can give yourself, the real magic comes from creating and serving, from openness, from just wanting to share what you know, basically for the sake of it, out of generosity. That's what made everything snap into alignment for him and unlocked that purpose that he was missing up until that point. And it's what will unlock the purpose that his audience is missing now. Yeah? Because once you get into the game-changing idea behind Always Free, which we're going to be digging into on the next video, by the way, you'll see this energy sitting right at the center of it. It is the engine behind how he now thinks about life, work, money, meaning, all of it. And this is the moment he can point back to as proof that he has lived it, made it work, struggled, experimented, and pushed through enough challenges to arrive at a truth he now helps other people unlock without them needing to take the same hits. And this is where most people miss out on the real power of a defining story, right? They've got the first chapter or some kind of first chapter, but it's too far away from what they actually do now. The epiphany is that crucial bridge. And honestly, it might be the most important part of the defining story because it shows that you've unlocked something that most other people never even get close to, right? The epiphany, done. That undeniable connection is getting stronger and stronger by the second. And look, if you actually embrace this stuff and dig into your story properly, not polishing it, not worrying too much about how it sounds to begin with, but looking dead on at who you were, what got you here, the hits you took, the moments that changed you, and how all of that shows up in your work today, it forces you to see yourself as the hero in your own journey. Now, most people never do that. They skip it, they downplay it, they act like their own journey doesn't matter. And that is exactly why they end up feeling disconnected from the work they are doing and the future they want to lead people towards. Because when you sit with your story and actually own it, even the messy bits, it snaps you back into that sense of purpose, right? You see yourself differently, you carry yourself differently. And when that energy comes through in those high stakes moments, your audience feels it instantly. That's why all of this matters. That's why it's powerful. That's why it lands in a way that nothing else can. And yeah, it might feel weird at first, seeing yourself, positioning yourself as the hero, but this is exactly the mode that undeniable leaders can switch into when the moment demands it, whatever that moment is. And you won't be in that mode all the time, right? You'll shift between being the hero, the guide, or the leader. But this part, this hero part, accepting who you are, who you've been, what you've lived through, what you've fought for, this is where you stop hiding the real story and start letting people see the version of you they can actually believe in. That's the good stuff. That's what changes how you show up in every high stakes moment you ever walk into. Okay, let's recap. You've had your first chapter, your earliest days. We've had the epiphany that powers your main idea as it stands right now. Here we hit the final part of the defining story, the new beginning. Now this part is quick, but it's important. It's basically, given what you realized, what did you do with it all, right? How did that realization carry you forward and land you right here? Because ideally, you want this to end in the room that you are in, almost like, hey, this is how I came to be here talking to you today. Let's take a peek.
I was over in Dubai in 2023 and I was on a yacht with a few of these billionaire people. They're all moaning. You know, they were chase.
Okay, cool. So let's call this a Genesis spark moment. Everything's kind of fine and then something happens, something small, something random, a place, a time, whatever, makes you stop and go, hey, hang on, like what's actually going on here? Now this moment shows your audience that you're tuned in on a level that most people aren't, right? You felt something that was missing. Yeah, you picked up on something in the world that didn't sit quite right, something that should exist but didn't, or something that does exist and shouldn't. The awareness is this kind of spark, and it frames you as a big deal, a step above the run-of-the-mill, right? Especially if you're on a yacht in Dubai with a lot of billionaires. But look, the principle stands, even if it was a canal barge in Birmingham. Anyway, let's see where it goes next.
You know, when's enough? I felt like I had enough. And I went home from Dubai and I thought, you know, what is this feeling? And it was like being who you want to be, doing whatever you want, wherever you want, with whoever you want, and then having the financial underpinning to not do anything if you wanted to. And that was kind of the goal. That was this feeling, and that's what I call always free.
Okay, so there's the big reveal of the always free idea. But if you want some more juice from this moment, consider framing it as an impossible challenge, right? A massive what if question, a challenge to yourself, right? Because of the path you walk, the stuff that you know, what if you could fix this in a way that no one else has, right? Because look at what he's doing. He's redefining what people perceive to be freedom and the way they look at money. Yeah, that's not just a Tuesday afternoon, is it? So what's your version of that? This is a chance to position you and your business super powerfully. Show your audience that you're operating from a deeper place, not just offering some product or shilling a course or just running a business even, but trying to solve something that genuinely matters. And from there, you can take it anywhere, right? A first flight that shows you the first time it worked, a quantum leap where like the results suddenly kicked into a whole new gear, or a ripple effect, which ties it all back to who you were in those very earliest days. But the key is this: the new beginning is where you say, hey, the past got me here, but now the real work starts, and I want you with me. Okay, so let's recap what Jason Graystone's actually pulled off here in the round. We've got that first chapter, those early influences, the uncertainty around money, the lack of security, the pressure in the air growing up. Then we've got that early realization, the BMX story. There might be another way to use money that isn't just about buying things, but buying time. Early nascent views on what freedom is. Then comes the epiphany. Money alone won't give you purpose or satisfaction or fulfillment. What creates that is service, contribution, the exchange of value that comes right from the heart of who you are. Then the new beginning. He looks around, sees people with all the money in the world who are still miserable, and the people who are struggling to get a foot on the ladder, and he goes, right, what if this is possible, right? That's a spark that pushes him into this new idea of freedom that goes way beyond what had previously defined him in the eyes of his audience. That's the full defining story, signed, sealed, and delivered. And the real power of it is this: because he is so connected to every beat of that story, the struggle, the realizations, the shifts, we can connect into it all the more powerfully too. That's what creates the truly undeniable connection. Makes it feel like he's exactly the person who should be talking about this stuff. And if you are the right audience, you are in, you believe, you want more. But here's the thing: a great story on its own probably won't get you onto those bigger stages and unlock those bigger opportunities you're after, right? You don't get to those just because you've had an interesting journey. You get there because you've got a game-changing idea. Yeah, the story positions it, the idea is what sells it. So to keep the whole flow going, in the next video, we're going to break down how Jason Graystone does that bit too, so you can see how it all comes together, and more importantly, how you can get hold of all that scattered brilliance in your head and unlock absolute clarity around the idea that you want to be known for. I'll see you there. In the meantime, why not get a feel for how undeniable you are right now by scoring yourself on the 3 undeniable assets. Now today we had a look at the defining story, see how you're doing on the others, and how you can take it all to the next level and beyond. Cool.